If you look at a business map of the world, it is almost entirely green. The green mermaid, as Starbucks, has successfully taught the planet that coffee should taste like pumpkin spice, cost $5, and come in a paper cup with your name misspelled on it. They have conquered 80 countries. They are a $100 billion empire. They are unstoppable. Well, almost. There is one S-shaped strip of land facing the Pacific Ocean where the global giant didn't just stumble, it hit a concrete wall. Welcome to Vietnam. Here, the mighty Starbucks isn't the predator, it's the prey. It accounts for less than 3% of the market. But why? Is it the price? Is it the location? No. To understand this failure, we have to look deeper than a spreadsheet. We have to look into the bottom of a glass sitting on a tiny plastic stool amidst the chaotic symphony of 1,000 motorbikes. Because in Vietnam, coffee isn't just a drink, it is a religion. To understand why a global giant struggles here, you first have to understand the soil they are standing on. Coffee isn't native to Vietnam. It was brought by the French in 1857, but the Vietnamese landscape had a different plan. While the French tried to plant Arabica in the north, the Central Highlands, a region known as Tay Nguyen, offered something magical: the red basalt soil. If you fly over this region, the earth looks like it is bleeding red clay. It is ancient, volcanic, and incredibly fertile. And during the blossoming season, this red earth is covered in a blanket of white snow, millions of coffee flowers blooming at once. It is in this rugged terrain that the land rejected the delicate, polite Arabica plants favored by the West and embraced a tougher, rougher warrior, Robusta. While the world chased the floral, acidic notes of Arabica, Vietnam quietly became the superpower of Robusta. This bean is unapologetic, it holds nearly double the caffeine of its Western cousin and 60% less sugar. If a standard Americano is a gentle acoustic ballad, Vietnamese Robusta is heavy metal played at maximum volume. But the secret isn't just the bean, it's the alchemy of the roast. This is something few foreigners know, and it stems from a history of scarcity. Decades ago, to maximize the flavor of limited beans, Vietnamese roasters began to improvise. They didn't just apply heat, they applied flavor. Traditionally, beans are roasted with butter, sometimes chicken fat, vanilla, salt, or even a touch of fish sauce and whiskey. This unique butter roast technique caramelizes the beans, locking in moisture and creating a signature oily texture. When you walk past a local roastery in the morning, the smell hits you like a physical wave. It smells of earth, smoke, dark chocolate, and burnt caramel. It is viscous. It is heavy. It doesn't just wake you up, it resurrects you from the dead. A coffee this bold requires a ritual to tame it. Enter the Phin, the humble aluminum filter that sits atop the glass. In a world obsessed with grab-and-go speed, the Phin is a masterclass in patience. You pour the water and then you wait. Drip by drip. This wait is crucial. It forces you to slow down in the middle of a chaotic city. It is a forced meditation, and when that dark, butter-roasted nectar finally meets the thick layer of sweetened condensed milk at the bottom, magic happens. You see, fresh milk was historically scarce in the tropics, so the Vietnamese turned to condensed milk out of necessity. But it turned out to be a culinary masterpiece. The intense, aggressive bitterness of the Robusta clashes with the creamy, sugary milk, creating a flavor profile so bold that it lingers on your palate for hours. It is a flavor that demands your full attention. And speaking of attention, there is a sidekick to Vietnamese coffee that often confuses travelers. It's called Trà Đá iced tea. When you sit down at a street cafe before you even order, someone will place a glass of pale yellow liquid in front of you. Many tourists stare at it suspiciously. Is it dirty water? Did I order this? No, it's weak green tea or herbal tea, usually free or costing pennies. It serves a vital purpose. Vietnamese coffee is so strong and sweet that you need the tea to cleanse your palate. It's the yin to the coffee's yang. The coffee spikes your adrenaline, the tea calms you down. It represents the hospitality of the sidewalk, a sign that you are welcome to sit as long as you like. This is exactly where the giant misunderstood the assignment. When Starbucks arrived, they brought their famous third place philosophy: air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and consistent lighter coffee. It's a status symbol, sure, but to a Vietnamese palate, a standard Western latte often tastes like, well, coffee-flavored water. You don't sell water to a fish, and you certainly don't sell diluted coffee to a nation that treats caffeine as high-octane rocket fuel. Moreover, they couldn't compete with the real third place, the sidewalk. In Vietnam, the sidewalk is the living room. It is the newsroom. It is the meeting hall. Why pay $5 to sit in a glass box when, for $1, you can sit on a plastic stool, feel the wind in your hair, hear the pulse of the city, and drink something 3 times stronger? The plastic stool is the great equalizer. On that low stool, knees touching your chin, a CEO sits next to a student. A construction worker sits next to an artist. They all share the same dust, the same noise, and the same drip. And don't think for a second that this is just about street vendors. Vietnam has its own titans. Look at Trung Nguyen. This isn't just a company, it is a philosophy wrapped in a brand. While Western brands market coffee as a lifestyle or comfort, Trung Nguyen markets coffee as intellectual fuel. They position their coffee alongside books, philosophy, and entrepreneurship. Their Legend Coffee, created with natural enzymatic methods to mimic the rare civet coffee, offers a richness that feels like drinking liquid silk. They prove that Vietnamese coffee is a luxury product with a depth of flavor that rivals the finest Italian espressos. But the true beauty of this culture lies in its fearless innovation. Vietnamese people are culinary wizards who look at a cup of coffee and ask, "What if?" Let's talk about the menu, because it's not just black and white. First, for the brave, there is egg coffee, Se Phay Trung. In the 1940s, during a milk shortage, a bartender in Hanoi named Nguyen Van Giang looked at an egg and thought, why not? He whisked egg yolks with honey and condensed milk into a frantic fluff and poured it over hot coffee. The result is a warm, liquid tiramisu. It is rich, velvety, and absolutely decadent. Then there is the gateway drug for foreigners, Bac Xiu. I always tell my friends, if the black coffee scares you, start with Bac Xiu. It's essentially white coffee with a splash of black. It uses more milk, often coconut milk or extra condensed milk, creating a creamy, slushy sweetness that makes a frappuccino look boring. And for the adventurous, there is yogurt coffee, Sua Chua Cafe. I know it sounds like a mistake. Coffee and sour yogurt, but trust me, the tanginess of the yogurt cuts through the bitterness of the coffee and the sweetness of the condensed milk, creating a refreshing smoothie that is perfect for the humid tropical heat. Now, before you book your flight to try this, a small safety warning for my fellow travelers. Vietnamese coffee is beautiful, but it is dangerous. We call it the Robusta Rush because the caffeine density is so high after your first authentic street coffee, you will feel invincible. You will feel like you can write a novel in 1 hour or fight a bear. But be warned, do not drink this after 2 p.m. unless you plan to stare at your ceiling fan until sunrise. And there is a phenomenon known as the biological clock. About 20 minutes after that first strong glass, your body might send you a very urgent notification. Let's just say the best way to spot a tourist who just had their first real K Phe Sua Ja is to look for the person walking very swiftly with a focused expression, scanning for a restroom. It is the most delicious detox you will ever experience. Ultimately, the story of coffee in Vietnam is not about a business war. It is about the soul of a nation. Starbucks didn't fail here. They just became another option in a land of masters. They captured the cool, but they couldn't capture the culture. So, if you visit, by all means, go to the big chains if you miss home. But if you want to taste the heartbeat of Vietnam, look for the plastic stool, order a Nao Jie, sip the iced tea, watch the drip, and realize that you aren't just drinking coffee, you are drinking the soil, the history, and the unbreakable spirit of Vietnam.
Do not forget to like and subscribe to catch the next stories.